간다.
Hiya guys and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a classic review. Not that old, but it can definitely be considered a classic. It's a bit
Yep.
of a cult zombie movie now. The thumbnail may have given it away, but we've got Train to Busan, one of the most bonkers zombies movies you will ever see. This one kind of took the world by storm when it came out. I remember everyone was talking about it, and I absolutely jumped on this one. I love my Korean movies anyway, and if I remember correctly, there's not many movies like this that come out of Korea. It's usually a lot of thrillers,
Yeah.
and serial killer movies. You don't get many zombie movies.
What I love about this film, like you say, with Korean movies, they tend to be very classy, and even when they make like a very kind of a trashy zombie movie, they still make it classy.
Yes.
Because what makes this great is that you've got the sort of World War Z vibe to it, and it's definitely sort of influenced by that, with the zombies piling on top of each other like termites. But what's great about this is the characters. And you've got, it's very simple stuff. You got the father, who's like a businessman, and he runs a company, and he's kind of neglected his family a little bit. The classic sort of story, and the story is his redemption arc. And his name, his character name is Suku. Is that how you pronounce
Something like
it?
that, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
too
even
hard
going to
to.
attempt to
Yeah,
pronounce
I
names.
know. And he's got his little daughter, and he's going on a train to Busan, and his story arc, he becomes the father he never was. And then you've got the other guy, the big guy there, my favorite character. His name is
Yes.
Sang-hwa. Apologies to any Korean viewers butchering your language. It was my favorite character in it. His
Yeah.
character arc is really simple. He's got a wife who's pregnant, and that's all you really need. There's nothing more than that, and that's enough for you to love these characters. You know?
Yeah, 100%. What I absolutely love about this one is that it just doesn't waste any time getting into
No.
it. Now, it gives you a little bit of breathing room where you can kind of get used to the characters, where you see them in their home life and they're obviously traveling to the train station. But about 20 minutes into this film, maybe less, the virus is there and you're on this train and it's packed with zombies. It does not
Yeah.
waste any time. And you've obviously got that great opening shot with the zombie deer. You don't see many zombie animals, if I'm
No.
honest. Um,
Yeah.
and like what you were saying about the characters in this movie, and what's really great is you're stuck in this train, and what they do brilliantly is you've got a young girl, so tensions are high, and you've got a pregnant woman. So
Yeah.
they're kind of two things in one film that you kind of puts you on the edge of your
Stress.
seat because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, nothing bad can happen to that woman or that kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, go on.
Yeah. So you carry on. Carry on.
All I was going to say is the most impressive thing in this movie is it's not a short movie. I think it's close to 2 hours,
Yes.
and it is all set on the train. There's a couple of scenes, right, where you leave the train, but somehow they use the location so well. I'm surprised Sam Raimi hasn't hired the guy to direct an Evil Dead movie, because this guy
Yeah.
knows how to direct one location movies. And obviously you've got the carriages in the train and they feel like different sets. Every
Yes.
carriage is different and they've got to get through these carriages. It's just
Well,
fantastic.
the best bit of this film, but but the end is great, but there's two scenes that stand out for me. It's the famous scene where, so these zombies, they can't see very well, and they're attracted to movement, and they're kind of almost blind. So they realize they have to get across a carriage to get from carriage wherever to their friends, and they've got they know a tunnel's coming up, and it's going to be dark, and they use that time to sneak through, and they've timed it with the GPS. There's going to be 2 minutes, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
That scene is so good. It uses this small space, this carriage, like you said, and becomes one of the most iconic horror moments, because the slightest moment, because if you think to Army of the Dead, no, Zack Schneider's Army of the Dead.
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I don't hate that film. It's stupid, right? very stupid. But there's a scene in that where they arrived in Vegas and there's all these zombies standing in a long, long, long row, and you find out they're kind of hibernating, and they have to pass through them to get somewhere. There's no tension in that at all. They just pass through them really easily, and you're
Yeah.
thinking, "This a waste of a scene." With Train to Busan, that scene is by far one of the best zombie scenes in any movie. Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And what's great about it is they obviously come up with a way that they can get through these zombies by using the tunnel.
Yeah,
But every single carriage they go through, they do something different, and that's what's clever about it. Is that it's not just right. Wait for the tunnel, sneak through. Wait for the tunnel, sneak
yeah,
through. No, they do all different things. Obviously, you've got the phone as well,
yes. The
which
four.
I think was very spiteful. He uses his phone.
Well,
He's like, "I'll ring your phone and I'll throw your phone." Do you know what I
I
mean?
I know I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, I'd be like, "Can I have my phone back?" Like, I say,
It
"Oh, I
just
don't know where my phone is."
it just shows how selfish he is, really. But you know what? I love those two, their relationship. Obviously,
The big
they
guy. Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
hate each other at the start because he sees him as
Yes.
like this
He's awesome.
distant dad and a leech, as they call him, because he's like he works in Wall
Yeah,
Street
yeah.
type job, like. And they
Yes.
kind of get this bond throughout the film, and it kind of ends beautifully towards the end. It's great.
Yeah. I think, not to go on into, like, A Quiet Place, 'cause I know you love that, the new one, but that's what was missing for me was, like, relatable family issues of, like, this kid, he's got to get this kid through, this man's got to save his pregnant wife. These are very simple character tropes, and they're so simple and they're so effective because well, they're simple and effective, and that's where they're overused. But it doesn't matter. My other favorite scene, which I've always thought the tunnel scene is my favorite, but when they stop in that station and they take the action out of it, and they're trying to get through the stations all emptied. When the zombie soldiers run and all hell breaks loose, that scene is so good, especially when um, Sua, God, it's going to be a hard one. Um, is like almost going to get hit, get killed, and just at the last second, the big guy just no, he's called Sua. No, forget it. The big
Forget
guy
it, man. Big guy. Everyone knows who the big guy is.
elbows the zombie in the face and rescues it, and it's almost as it's up there with like the motion where in Terminator 2 when John Connor on the bike and Annie comes and grabs the kid in the last second, puts him on the bike.
Yeah, yeah.
That moment of like whoosh, and you feel it. And there's so many films that little things like that happen. You don't feel anything, but that nailed it for me. Really did.
Yeah, everything they do in this movie, they absolutely nail it. And obviously, going back to what you were saying about when they get off the train and they're in this station, I think it's just before they realize they have to go to Busan because this place is
Yeah.
they can't stop there. But it is just that scene where they're walking down the stairs and they see the soldiers, and you get like that relief. It's like, oh, it's man, the soldiers here, and
Yes.
obviously you can just see the bottom half of their body. You kind of know they're going to be zombies because you're like, there's over an hour left of this film. They're not going to get saved
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah. Just jump off the train now.
Just get on. Go
We'll
on,
take a
guys.
taxi. Taxi to Busan.
Yeah. But it's that scene where they're like kind of relieved they're walking down and they can see the
Yeah.
army soldiers, and then that turn, it's just relentless.
Army soldiers.
I don't know what to call them, man.
Military
I've done this
soldiers.
before. Why do I struggle with soldiers? Why do I have to say army men or army soldiers?
Because you just still play with those little army men, okay? The green ones. I mean, when that scene when they come off the train, like we're talking about, and they all smash through the glass and they all pile on like World War Z.
Yeah.
It is so effective. And the thing about I'm comparing it to World War Z, and I do like World War
It
Z.
is tonally
Um,
similar.
but the difference is World War Z cost 190 million to make. This cost 8.5 million. And I know that
Jesus Christ.
you had to pay Brad Pitt a lot of money and
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
budget ballooned because they had to reshoot it. But when you have to reshoot that much, it's a waste of money. You can see that. Look, these Korea. I'm not really sure how the Korean sort of film industry works, but I'm guessing they have to be a bit tighter with their budgets. They can't mess around. That's why you had Godzilla minus one costing like 12 million to make, which is he smashes up a city. It's amazing. I don't know
Yeah.
how he managed it. And 8.5 million is pennies. It's
Yeah.
so cheap, you know.
Considering it's quite big scale, considering it's only set on a train, there's loads of like really big set pieces, and I just
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
things like the train crash at the end, and it still looks good now.
yeah.
I rewatched it the other day, and it's the first time I'd seen it in a while, and I was still I thought it'd be a little bit outdated now, because like you said, the budget is low, um, but it still looks great.
Yeah, every penny's
Um,
on the screen.
what I want to talk about, right, Jenks, is the real villain of the movie. Now, can you tell me who the real villain is?
The evil businessman. I love evil businessmen. Is that what you're talking about?
The train manager or the horrible guy that locks him out of the carriage,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
just
He's not
goes,
the trade manager. He was just like a businessman trying to get from, but he sort of manipulated the trade manager to
"Oh,
lock
okay
him.
then,
Yeah, I
there
love
we are."
evil businessmen. They're my favorite villains.
Oh my
Yes,
god, I was. It's not even. This is my thing, right? Is I usually like villains because obviously they bring a lot to a film,
but you
even
hate
when you have
businessmen.
even when you have, right, flesh-eating zombies, thousands of them, sometimes you still need a human villain, something
Yes,
just to up the ante. And this guy is the absolute worst. He goes out of his way constantly to put people's lives in danger. He isn't just looking out for himself. I genuinely believe he goes out of his way. There's so many scenes, right, where I was like, oh, I wish he wasn't in the film. I wish he wasn't in film. That
yeah.
bit where obviously you've got the young couple, the cheerleaders. I think they cheerleaders.
They're like baseball or rounders or something.
Oh yes, because they got the bats.
Yeah, convenient.
Yeah. Though that couple when they get together and he runs in and he grabs the girl and chucks her at the zombie, and then the other guy just kind of accepts his fate because his girlfriend's been bit.
Yeah,
Like,
he's horrible.
oh my
You know,
god.
I wrote on my notes, "Evil businessman." Mention him because he was up there with like my hatred for like sadness in Inside Out. I wanted to kill him. I wish,
Yeah, yeah,
but I preferred him. He was a good villain. And also like a lot of villains are sympathetic, but this guy was just no, no, no. He's just a fucking twat. You know,
yeah, an absolute
that's it.
piece of shit. And obviously you've got that scene where obviously they lock them out of the top carriage, and they kind of force them to go the one behind, which seems safer. It's like, right, we'll have a carriage in between you and the zombies, and you get your own little backspace.
Yeah,
If the zombies get through, you're still safe. So they're safer. They're like, no,
much safer.
you're not staying in here, you're going in there. But
Yeah.
obviously then you've got that elderly
We-
woman who goes up to the door and opens it. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I had a little note about the elderly woman. It's the only gripe I have. That
Oh,
woman
wait
was not
there. Can
elderly
I
at
can I
all.
say, ah, do you know
What?
what, right?
You were
Me,
thinking the same?
me and my girlfriend had a running joke throughout the whole film about her age.
She was about
And
25 with the wig on. She was 50 actually, 52 I think she was. I had to Google it. And they give her this old
honestly,
granny wig and like I'm surprised she was knitting
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
he was like, oh come on, the one was
Sudoku,
old.
like.
Yeah, she was a little bit distracting, but
Oh, I had that. I was going to mention that as well. Me and my girlfriend had like a running joke for the whole film, just like popping jokes off different
yeah,
stuff.
I was saying
Um,
thinking the same thing.
Definitely a few wrinkles put on as well.
Yeah.
She looked
Um,
way too young.
I don't know, maybe Korean women age really, really well because, most of them are beautiful and maybe that's what they look like when they're old.
Yeah, not maybe not their hair though, not the hair.
But yeah, I love this film, and I do think like that probably it would have been easier to walk to Busan, a lot safer if you
Yeah,
just walked.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and the ending of the movie for me, okay. I forgot how good the ending was. That scene where the train collapses and the glass is right by their
Oh
heads,
yeah, it's so
and all
good.
the zombies are pressed against it. It's such a good scene, and it's so original because you can't have this. There's a lot of it's hard to make an original zombie movie. People are trapped somewhere, but when you've got this idea, and there's been the train is not mega original. There's probably been zombie films where they're stuck somewhere like a plane, but
Yeah, yeah.
having it collapsed and the glass is breaking is kind of amazing. And I honestly, I took my hat off to it. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I love that scene. Jenks, one last
What?
thing I need from you. Like you said with Evil Dead, we can't just give it all praise. There has to be some negatives.
Oh,
So,
Granny.
all right, that's not good enough. You have to have a gripe with this film. Give us a gripe.
uh,
Something that annoyed you. I've got mine.
right. I be, before I say any gripes, I
Yeah.
go one. I go before I say any gripe. In case I forget to say, the real star of this movie is the little girl. Okay,
Oh,
she is one of the
100%.
greatest actresses I have ever seen. She's only tiny. I don't know how she can cry so well. That scene when he locks her into when he's turning and he locks her into the cabin, whatever, and she's screaming and banging for her daddy. Oh my god, I got choked up.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
I got a daughters myself, and it's like, oh, I was really sensitive things like that, and she is brilliant. Okay, the only gripe I have is when all the zombies are all piling on and hanging on to the train at the end, and they, I don't know how that's physically possible. I mean, surely the first guy you'd be like, I can't take all your weight. I'm that's it.
Like,
I can't.
no.
Yeah.
Well, do you know
No.
what I
Why am
wanted,
I at
right?
the why am I at the front?
Do you know what would have made this film 10 times better? And I was actually seeing it was happening. When that zombie's holding on to the bar and he starts kicking his feet,
Yeah.
kicking his fingers. Oh my God, if one of them just want to go, oh, fuck.
No, you bastard.
Like, oh,
Just because I'm a
oh.
zombie, you still fucking hurts.
I've still got all my nerve endings. Like, I would
Yeah.
have loved it. I know it's a serious movie, but if I would have loved to just see one of them
What
go,
so what's your bit you don't like? And that bit?
no, 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 of course not. I love that. I love cheesy
Yeah,
stuff.
visually it looks good, but it
Yeah,
just doesn't
no,
make sense. Go on now, what is
yeah, of
it?
course. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense, to be honest, but it's a zombie movie, Janks. All right?
Yeah, go on then. What is it then?
My biggest gripe with it, and this really pissed me off, is
What?
do you know when I think they're on the last carriage when they're trying to get to his daughter, right? Like we spoke about earlier, they're going through the carriages.
Yeah.
And that homeless guy, the guy who's lost his head and he keeps spurting madness.
Yeah.
Well, he falls down the side, doesn't he? And he just stays there. And then the dad then goes to grab him and he pulls him up. And the lights come back on, all the zombies turn, and instead of turning around and running for the door, he throws him aside and then he goes to the other side and they just lay there. It doesn't make any sense.
Which bit? Right at the end.
No, no, it's when they're traveling through the carriages, when they're going through the tunnels.
Oh, is he a bit when he steps on that can of coke? Makes a
Yes.
noise.
And then
Yeah.
instead of turning round and running for the door, which they do anyway after the zombies are chasing them, he grabs him and throws him and then he jumps to the side and they just stay there. And I thought, you had plenty of time to turn away and run.
I didn't notice that bit. Uh, uh,
Unlike you, Jenks.
I know. Yeah, I know. But it was, it was subtitled, so I'm going to miss a few things. I'm trying to read and watch. Uh, but yeah, I love this film.
This is coming from a writer. Can we just put that in? That we've got a writer here, right? He writes novels for a living. He can't read subtitles and watch at the same time.
I love this movie. I'm a big fan of this film. But you know what? We're from Llanelli, South Wales, so pretty much every single train journey is like a train to Busan. We've got plenty of zombies, especially when you're coming in to Llanelli from somewhere nice, and every
I
stop gets worse and worse and worse.
I do hate catching trains in Wales. I will say that.
Yes.
But we do have the remake confirmed. Train to New York. I think it's going to be
Last train to New
directed.
York.
Last train to. Um, I think it's going to be directed by Timo, who has done a lot of work with Gareth Evans on
All right.
VHS, The Raid. He done The Night Comes for
Yeah.
Us. He's similar sort of style, ultra violent, ultra realistic. I love him. So if he's
Yeah.
directing it, I'll look forward to that.
If you like horror movies, like reviews, please subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, guys.